Good morning and welcome back to 10-Minute English Cafe. It is Thursday, July 9th, 2026.
Happy Thursday! I brought the heaviest bag today, and I do not know why.
I can see a notebook, a charger, a sweater, and maybe 3 emergency snacks.
That is called being prepared, or being a walking storage cabinet.
That gives us today's key word. Today's key word is carry, spelled C-A-R-R-Y.
I like that. It sounds simple, but it feels bigger than just holding a bag.
Exactly. To carry can mean to hold something, but it can also mean to hold a responsibility, a feeling, or a memory.
So today is about the visible things and the invisible things people carry.
That is our theme. First, World Cup fans in Mexico are wearing lucha libre masks in the streets.
That is such a strong visual. A mask can carry a whole culture.
Then we talk about the empathy tax at work.
That one sounds heavier even without a bag.
And finally, a national time capsule is being prepared to stay sealed until 2276.
A box carrying a message to people we'll never meet.
Before we start, if you're new here, we turned real news into natural English conversation every day.
With useful words for talking about culture, work, memory, and regular life. If this helps your listening practice, please subscribe and join us for 10 minutes. Let's see what people are carrying today.
Our first story takes us to Mexico City during the World Cup period.
I already picture crowded streets, jerseys, and very dramatic masks.
That is close to the report. Lucha libre masks are becoming a symbol of fan culture there.
Fan culture is useful. It means the habits, objects, and rituals that fans share.
Exactly. In this story, the mask is not just something to buy and wear.
It's more like a ticket into the mood of the city.
The local evidence says tourists are visiting the famous arena between matches.
So they're not only watching soccer, they're stepping into another performance world.
Right. The evidence also names local star wrestlers as part of that match-going experience.
I won't pretend I know every wrestler, but the names already feel theatrical.
The important point is that the masks carry identity.
That's a good use of today's word. The mask carries more than color and fabric.
The report frames the masks as an entry point into Mexican identity and local culture. That makes sense. Sometimes a souvenir is just a fridge magnet. Sometimes it pulls you into a whole tradition. A useful phrase here is succumb to the magic.
That means you stop resisting and let the atmosphere win.
Exactly. One England fan is quoted as saying, "It was simply fantastic." That's not a complicated review, but it feels honest. The magic worked. Another useful phrase is iconic mask. Iconic means highly recognizable, right? Something people can identify quickly. Yes, and for English learners, this topic is also good for talking about cultural crossover. Because soccer fans come for one event, then local wrestling culture grabs their attention. The mask becomes the bridge between the stadium and the city. I like that. It's something you wear, but it also carries a story. And that's our first carry of the day. People carrying culture on their faces.
Very dramatic, very memorable, and honestly, much better than my heavy tote bag.
Our second story moves from visible masks to invisible work.
That is usually the work that makes people tired before lunch.
Business Insider frames a workplace burden as an empathy tax.
That phrase hits hard. Tax makes it sound like something you have to pay.
Exactly. The idea is that emotional care at work can become an extra, unpaid burden.
Like checking on everyone, smoothing tension, remembering who is having a hard week.
Yes, the local evidence connects this burden to emotional labor.
Emotional labor means managing feelings or relationships as part of the job.
Right. And the report especially points to women managers often carrying more coworker care burden.
That is the part that feels unfair. The skill is valuable, but the weight lands on the same people.
The local evidence links that weight to burnout and pressure to leave.
Burnout is not just being sleepy, it's long-term stress turning into exhaustion.
Exactly. A strong phrase from the evidence is emotional infrastructure of modern work.
Infrastructure usually means roads, power, systems, the stuff that keeps things running.
So, emotional infrastructure means the care and support that keep a workplace functioning.
And if people only notice it when it breaks, that's a problem.
The suggested solutions include recognizing this labor in evaluation systems.
That means it should count when people are judged at work, not disappear as a nice personality trait.
Another solution is distributing the burden across the organization.
In normal words, don't make one manager become the office feelings department.
Exactly. A useful phrase here is boundary setting.
That's making limits clear, like saying, I can support you, but I can't carry everything.
This story shows another meaning of carry.
Not a bag, not a mask, but a quiet responsibility that can become heavy.
And the English lesson is practical. Empathy tax, emotional labor, burnout, and boundary setting.
Those are words people can actually use in a work conversation. They help name a problem that can be hard to see. Naming it is the first step to not making one person carry all of it.
Our third story is about a time capsule connected to the Anniversary Project.
I love time capsules. They are basically messages with a very long delivery delay.
Important note first, the primary page returned HTTP 403 in our direct fetch. So we stay careful and use only the facts already supported in our checked materials. Exactly. The supported evidence says 56 states and territories are preparing artifacts and letters for a national time capsule. That is a lot of places trying to answer one question: what should the future know about us? The capsule is connected to the historic city. That place already carries a lot of national history, so the connection feels meaningful. The evidence says the steel capsule weighs about 900 pounds. 900 pounds is not a cute little memory box. That is serious. It also says the capsule contains more than 200 items. I immediately want to know who had to organize the inventory. The plan is for it to remain sealed until 2276. That date makes my brain pause. 250 years is almost impossible to imagine. The supported evidence also says one state submitted a state seal coin and a letter to future Americans. A coin and a letter feel simple, but they carry a lot. One is official and one speaks directly. The key vocabulary is time capsule. A time capsule is a container of present-day objects preserved for people in the future. Another useful verb is preserve. To preserve something means to keep it safe over time. And the phrase snapshot of life is helpful here. It does not mean a real photo only. It means a small picture of what life was like. Exactly. The cafe question is simple. What object would fairly represent everyday life now? I would choose a grocery receipt. Prices, food, habits, tiny panic. That's a strong snapshot of life. See? Small paper, big history. This is our third carry, a capsule carrying today's objects, letters, and choices into 2276. And because topic 3 is still needs review, we keep the details limited to what is already supported. Today, we followed one word through 3 very different kinds of weight. The word was carry, and it kept getting heavier in interesting ways. In the first story, fans carried lucha libre culture through iconic masks. A mask became more than a souvenir. It became a doorway into the city's energy. In the second story, workers carried emotional labor through the empathy tax. that one felt invisible, but maybe the heaviest. In the third story, a time capsule carried artifacts and letters toward 2276, a future box full of choices from the present. So here is today's question. Which kind of carry stayed with you most? Option A is the lucha libre mask carrying culture. Option B is the empathy tax people carry at work. Option C is the time capsule carrying today into the future. Tell us in the comments. You can write A, B, or C and add one short sentence in English. For example, you can write, I choose B because invisible work can feel heavy. Take today's word with you. To carry can mean holding an object, a responsibility, or a memory across time. And maybe check your own bag today. It might be carrying more than you think. If this conversation helped your English, please like, subscribe, and come back tomorrow. Have a good Thursday and carry only what you need.